I think I really do need more than just these 2 small winds. I think I underestimated how good that little solar was.
Whoop.
Does the medium solar, does that give you anything at night? It's just none, right?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, probably the diversification is important, though. Because the wind was out there for a moment, and I just, like, totally ran out of energy.
Yeah, I mean, real trick is just to have a big battery and then not care.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I noticed that it folds up. Does that just always do that at night, or is it because I haven't activated it?
Solar panels always fold up at night.
Okay, good. Good. I think I will make another trailer, though. Aluminum and compound.
Okay. If you do get a spare minute, though, you should check out this ramp.
You said to not come down it, so...
With a vehicle.
Not with a vehicle, okay.
On foot, I'm not going to say it's safe. Maybe I'll have you check it out when I break through to the center of the planet.
I'm not going to say it's safe, but... it might be fun. Very
Oh, it's
definitely
definitely fun.
Alright. That feels reasonable now. Okay, which direction haven't we really explored that isn't a forest? A very important distinction there. Can't be a forest. Actually...
Dang,
if there's
I might
salvage
actually
degree, that just like goes in a research thing, right? Or is that not always true? It's like, it looks like a pod bay door or something like that. Nope, salvage. I don't know. I'll go find the more sciencey things.
Oh boy. This is gonna take a while to get back up.
You remember that one time Mom and Dad tried to show us the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yeah, and I was just so bored.
I often regret not actually finishing the movie. I feel like I've missed a lot of like stuff by not having watched that.
I think we were just too young.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. That's a good point. I may have not really appreciated it that well
Like
anyways.
even as a high schooler, there were certain movies that were just like beyond me. And it took a while before I was like really comfortable. Life of Brian, I think, is another one where it's like, if you're not ready for that movie, it is just so dull.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen it actually.
Mom and Dad were watching it, and we couldn't understand a word they were saying.
I think I had like an essay or something like that. Like I remember having to work, and
No,
you guys
we went
were just like,
downstairs to go play video games.
"Is that what happened?"
Yeah, that was like in the middle of you being really into Dota.
Maybe that was all. Maybe I didn't have any work to do. I just wanted to play Dota.
This is... yeah. I can't really fault you too much for that,
Because
but...
apparently the movie wasn't that good, at least
No.
at that time.
Yeah, because they had really, really thick accents. And a lot of the
never-
jokes were very much socio-political commentary. On, like, revolutions, and... It was just a lot of political stuff, actually.
Huh.
Whereas, like, Monty Python was very much like a timeless for all people kind of thing.
I've never really had that much trouble understanding British accents.
This was particularly thick. I went to go... When I did the study, like the week-long study abroad in England, we went to a theater showing of Taming the Shrew. And it was so bad by the time the play was done, I was the only one left in the theater from the entire school trip. Everybody else had left. Because
I like that even the teachers were like, I'm out.
To be fair, the teachers were real bad during that trip. Like, super drunk.
I missed a lot by not taking that class, I think. But I'm not sure that the things I missed I regret too much.
I enjoyed that I went, but I think I'm like one of the only people that actually got like full enjoyment out of it. I think everybody
a lot of
else
other people were disappointed.
I think a lot of other people just went to go get drunk and like hang out in a foreign country for a while.
So when you say just get full enjoyment, what you don't think they didn't enjoy themselves doing that?
I'm not sure how much they remember.
I see.
Like, we definitely had one teacher that was gone for a considerable portion of it. And we eventually found out it's because every day at like 8, he'd go out drinking. And every night every morning he would come back around 5 or 6 a.m. way too drunk to, be functional the next day and way too hungover, and it was just kind of rinse repeat. And my teacher, who was the only teacher that was not drinking, was kind of mad.
I see.
Because he was supposed to be, like, pulling his own weight, and was not.
That is funny, because, like, now that I, like, have friends who are teachers and I talk to them about stuff, there's, like, a 0% chance there wasn't, like, a ton of gossip about that teacher, like, after getting back.
He was the teacher that had the office next to the his classroom next to the anime club. Curly brown hair, I don't remember his name.
Oh, he was the one who would just get hammered?
Yeah, he'd get absolutely sloshed every day.
That's so funny. I can't believe I didn't know that. I had him, actually. He had the thick southern accent, too, right? Just to be clear.
I don't remember.
He's never...
I barely interacted with the man.
I really wonder about this now. That, like, doesn't scan with my image of him at all, but I think there's only one teacher in the school that had that description, so...
Yeah, probably was.
Yeah.
How are we doing on research? Oh, we've burned through all of it. Well,
I'm coming back with a few big-ticket items, so...
That's good.
Just noticing this pod here that I feel like you probably looted a while ago, and I'm just back to it again. What is it? What does it mean? Anyway, maybe I should just bring it back. But I still have one more trailer worth of stuff I can put on. I feel like probably I could do that. I guess we're not really like limited in the amount of like time. Oh, I think that's even an item there. Let me just... Yes. Okay.
This is holding up so much better. At this point, you would have fallen through the world like 7 times and gotten kind of fed up with everything. Even like a year and a half ago, they really fixed this.
Oh, that's cool.
I am super impressed.
What specifically? Just like in general the game they fixed, or is there something you're doing that you're saying that they...
Specifically, the netcode has been vastly improved.
Oh, so like playing with other people, just the multiplayer was really janky?
So playing solo was perfectly functional, if a little lonely. And playing multiplayer was real fun for like the first 2 hours, and then just everything would start to break.
I see.
And just kind of never recover.
Never recover. It was a catastrophic break. Alright, I've got a whole boatload of research items I'm bringing.
That's good. We need them.
I see you've already got some stuff going.
Yeah, I had one attached to the front of my tractor. I'm mostly focused on this whole get to the center of the planet thing, but
okay.
I'll take back what I can.
Well, I'll keep doing the science thing, so...
Whee!
Was that a reference to that...
Boy.
That almost felt like a reference to that one Firefox advertisement.
Huh. I don't know if I remember that one.
It was specifically one that I guess one of your friends showed me when we were over for Atlanta, and it was like it showed the various like
I
Internet
remember
Explorer,
this now.
and the like little like dot at the time would go like around the Internet Explorer E, and when it would
Yeah.
come around, it kept going. Wee.
I remember this now. I totally forgot. Apparently he's like gotten into streaming recently.
Oh yeah, we ran into his dad recently actually.
Oh.
Had a nice chat with him, but he didn't mention that.
I don't know necessarily how much he probably talks to his son.
It seemed like they still have dinner, which you had to be a little bit like, it's COVID time. Should you be doing that?
Well, his son never goes outside, so it's probably perfectly acceptable.
I guess so. He has roommates though, so.
Oh, all right. I guess I
Yeah, I
didn't
mean,
know that one.
it didn't sound that egregious. I mean, I still go see like mom and dad, but it's mostly just my girlfriend and I only ever like hang out with each other, or mom and dad who only ever hang out with us.
Yeah.
But it's still something I still find myself sometimes being like, but is this okay? Like, should I be more
Yeah.
careful? Like,
We routinely tell Shell's family to stop going out. Because they're just like, but the protesters are out, and it's like, that's not how this works.
is this like a whataboutism sort of thing? Is that why they say
Yep.
that?
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of like one of those like odd things of saying, but other people are doing it. It's like, actually, it doesn't just make it not okay. It makes it like, the more people are out and about, the more dangerous it is to be out and about. So like, that's like a counter argument to your own like concern. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what more to say.
Just,
I mean, not to say like,
it takes effort to argue with that kind of behavior and
Yeah.
just like mentality. And
Right.
that depending on the sources of information that you are pulling, there's a very real possibility that like none of it matters, no matter what is said.
yeah, that is true. I mean, yeah, I told you about that one conversation with the Lyft driver in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the like, you want to have a conversation, but like when you can't, like no one's ever going to change each other's mind on it. It's not really a conversation. I mean, I guess it might be. You might still have like a softer view of the other people, even if you don't change your personal opinions. But, yeah, I guess just going back to the like the protests or things like that. You know, it is like, I don't mean to say it, like the protesting is like kind of a lot of people who know COVID's an issue, but have decided that there's something that's like, you know, life-threatening to a lot of people.
This is more valuable than...
And this is like a moment to make that sort of change on it too, so it's worthwhile. But
other
yeah,
thing-
hanging out with your friends to have fun is still like,
Or
it feels
getting a
just
haircut.
little, it's just too
going out to
early
eat.
still. Yeah.
Yeah. You absolutely have to do that. Freaking wear a mask.
Yeah. Well, I found a bunch of plants that are research samples, so coming back with those now. I am suddenly, now that I have a bunch of trailers, realizing why you said we needed more than 2 of these guys. Because I'm finding that every time I come back, I only have 2 items, right? But, like, I only have 2 things I can put stuff into.
I mean, we should probably expand the amount of research things we have. Though, as
Yeah.
soon as we go to some of the other, like, bigger planets, it's not so bad. Or not
And
bigger planets, but more valuable planets.
Just in the sense that... Oh, are we out of power? We might be not having enough power, actually. That might be our current limiter.
Let's see. I will admit, I snagged our battery so I could drive, so I could dig more.
Did we, like, find that battery so we, like, really need it?
Well, I mean, it's like a singular battery, so...
Sure, yeah. You know, I think part of it... But like, do we only have one battery, I guess is what I meant.
Yeah, it's like a singular personal battery, too, so it's
see.
not
So
like
it's
it
not
was
a-
really holding the our base aloft.
Yeah. Let me take a look at it. I think the issue is that the wind is not currently blowing, and the sun is not like quite shining yet, and therefore like we just don't have power.
Yeah.
But we also do have like, I guess we have a generator, and there was a medium solar. Did you hook that up, or is that still somewhere here?
I think it's still there. Unless you were the one that snagged it, but there should be a medium solar in the base.
I think I just threw it callously somewhere.
Oh. I mean, we should have enough for it at some point soon.
Okay, but I found power cells, and I left them over here, and this is something I could hook up to the base, right? Is that what a power cell does?
Power cell is like the oxygen filters.
Oh, so it'll just like get used if I hook it up to the base?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's boring.
Stupid mushrooms.
Well, there is a medium solar cell here. But you already had one, right? You had found another one elsewhere? I put the medium cell, I think, on my rover. That's where it is.
That would explain it.
Just still on it, of course. Lol. Alright. Actually, the thing I'm wondering is, can I hook up like a storage thing to the research thing and it'll just automatically shunt stuff in? Or do we always have to put it in by hand?
For research, I think you have to put it in by hand.
Okay. Well, I guess now's not a bad time. Oh, but if we're running out of power on 2 of them, maybe just going and finding stuff that solves our power solution problem.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have power problems no matter what, as long as we're on this planet. Because we don't have batteries.
So
and
as
we
long
can't
as
make them.
So, like, I guess if we have enough solar, then the research things are all operating at 50% of the time, no matter what.
Yeah. And then if we have a decent amount of wind as well, you know, that gets it
doing
up
much
to
of
like
the
a
rest of the time.
70%, give or take.
Yeah. I guess that's pretty good, not to get fixated on it just because I happen to observe it under one state.
Yep.
That makes sense. Oh yeah, I never completed why I was asking you about those who walk away from Omelas. Yeah, mostly just reminded of it because it kind of describes like a particular view of, I guess it's a dystopic short story, but I like read it in a like completely different way than everyone else that I've talked to read it, and I'm pretty sure than the way Ursula K. Le Guin intended it. It's like I had my own personal reading of what this story was like telling us, and like I thought it was really cool, and then apparently she meant something not completely different, but slightly different. And I was a little disappointed because I feel like my read on it led to like a cooler story. But alas, that's probably not what it was about.
I don't think I've ever even heard of that one. I need to read more. I've been writing more and drawing more, and those are kind of my 2 creative things that I'm working on.
I mean, that's like totally fair. I shouldn't feel like you need to do more than that.
It's nice. Reading is super important. I mean, I used to read nonstop when we were younger.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, like, it's just kind of accepted that reading is super important. But I guess, like, to privilege it over, like, writing or stuff like that.
Yeah, that was actually something that I kind of have run into lately, is that I spend practically my entire life devouring content, like other people's content, that there's actually a very distinct feeling of discomfort on my end, if that's all I do. I had somebody ask me how I don't get burnt out, and the answer is, like, I definitely get overworked, but it's actually very rare for me to just feel like I don't want to play video games anymore. And that usually happens exactly when I haven't created anything for myself in a while.
So, I guess I actually thought about streaming a little bit recently on this one, because you said devouring other people's content, but realistically there's a dual creation consumption happening with streaming that isn't
Correct.
true for like when I'm just playing a video game for fun.
And that's part of the reason why I actually don't enjoy playing video games without commentating over them. Unless I'm playing with other people. Yeah.
Because I remember you described at one point that you like wanted to just play a game without having to commentate it with it. But I guess that's been changing over time then.
No, it just, I can't do it. It's like the desire is there, but then I start doing it and I just get bored. I'm like, I just want to hit the record button and just start going.
So you say the desire is there, but like only abstractly, because what you're describing is like the immediacy of the desire is not there. All right, like
yeah. I think it's more so the problem I run into is I enjoy being in kind of on, I guess. It's the best way I can kind of just put it into words that like it is enjoyable in presentation mode.
Okay.
And it makes games more interesting because I'm actually actively trying to do something more unique and interesting than just like playing. But at the same time, that is still an expenditure of energy that is hard. You know, I can't just record for 10 hours and feel like as fresh as I would have if I was just playing a video game for 10 hours. But on the flip side, there's just a feeling of like the experience doesn't feel complete if I'm not talking over it now. And I think a lot of it is because like the enjoyment factor of commentating over things is actually pretty large. And like it's fun cracking jokes and talking about what I'm doing and so on and so forth. And so yeah, if I try and play a game on my own, it feels like the experience is now lacking.
Does playing a game on your own, like, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess does Shell ever want to play a game without streaming, or is she when she wants to have time with you, doesn't want to like play games in general?
Generally, yeah. If there are only a few games that I think she's immediately like gung ho about, and most of them are story based. Or Half-Life Alyx, which we still haven't finished and need to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know... Did you spoil yourself?
No.
Oh, okay.
I know nothing about how it ends. I'm looking forward to it. It's just one of those that VR is physically exhausting in a way that, you know, most other video games are not.
I had heard that.
It's one of those where, like, we've been doing it in, like, 2-hour chunks every 2 weeks. But... you know, it's... Oh, wow. Gravity's getting low. We've been playing it in, like, couple-hour chunks every couple of weeks. But I'm also trying to do Ring Fit again, which is, like, in direct competition. Because both are wearying.
I see. Wearying, yes.
Let's see. But also just too many other games that take precedence over a game that's a couple months old that people aren't as jazzed about.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, VR is to the point where it's fairly playable and people like it, but it is not to the point where it's actually super watchable. That it gives a lot of my audience members bad headaches watching me try and do VR.
Really? Is that because of just like the way the... Actually, why? Why would I...
So, the recording, like, if it's on my head, it's getting all those micro movements. That normally in a video game, the camera's a fairly, like, smooth. Like, it has fairly smooth motion. And so you don't have the issue of, like, it wiggling all over the place. And a lot of people actually have this problem with VR that if at any point in time... the game controls where your head is looking, it immediately feels wrong. And so I think it's the same problem. And so it just triggers really bad motion sickness. Gosh, getting down to the center of the planet takes a lot more time than I was expecting it would. wish I had a depth meter.
I was thinking I wish I had a teleport back to base because I'm just getting like progressively further and further with each of these runs.
More games need town portals.
Yeah, I mean, I guess part of it for this game is it wants a little bit of that realism of like, oh, I'm real far from civilization. I'm kind of out on my own out here.
Keep an eye out for the keep an eye out for those glowing beams of light. Because if you can find one of those structures, you can teleport to the one that I already found.
Oh, okay. I guess you can see that at a pretty incredible distance, can't you?
Yeah, you should almost never be outside of sight range of one of those things.
Okay, I hadn't been looking, so I'll maybe start doing that again.
I'm probably wrong, but I almost always am capable of seeing one, from my experience.
Let's get to a high vantage point and take a look around. Actually, this is the sort of game where I think they did a cool job with the art style for it. It's the sort of game that I like find myself understanding why graphics in games are really important to some people. Because I feel like if this game was like extremely beautiful nature that we were running through in it, it would like change the play experience. And they still did a pretty good job. Like it's certainly the aesthetics of it, I think, are important as part of it. But I don't know, something about these adventure exploration games that like I kind of understand why
you'd want it to be super realistic.
People care about. Yeah, or even just beautiful. It doesn't even need to be realistic, but just kind of like that there's art to it. And I think that's true here. Just I think there could have been more, and like it's not like as a criticism as much as just like it wasn't their main focus was to make like the most beautiful thing ever. Like, you know, a lot of it's like kind of the low polygons or whatnot. Where kind of when you crest that like low vista and like see some cool view of like some mountain above you, it's, I don't know, there's...
Because I will admit, I rather like this art style. I think because for me it's important to have an art style that is timeless.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because with realism, like, well, most recently Last of Us 2 came out. I don't think I'm going to play it because I heard it's quite depressing. And, like, the characters are not very fun. And I like more lighthearted things. But one thing I was looking at was just, like, screenshots of, like, what does this game look like? And I'd played the first one, which was lauded as, like, one of the best-looking games of all time back in the PlayStation era.
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 era, sorry. And then it got redone for the PS4, which, like, I still made it look quite nice, and was probably fairly peak. And then there's like God of War and some other stuff, and like I really do appreciate the visual design for that sort of thing, and like how just impressive the realistic 3D is. But I know, like, 5-10 years from now, it's going to be humdrum at best. Whereas I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1, which was like a Wii game that I loved back in the day, and never finished. But there's some really pretty sights in that game for a Wii game that I would take over, like, hyper-realism any day.
Okay.
Because that stylization and that art direction is more important to me than, like, looking like a realistic thing. There's another game I played recently called Among Trees, where you're effectively just, like, out in the wilderness, living in a cottage that you're putting together. And it's just got heavy use of colorful silhouettes and, like, you know, unrealistic saturation, but it is just gorgeous at all moments.
Yeah, I think I didn't want to say like I wanted really realistic graphics, but I think more just kind of like the way that the art in it in general can be important. And I think, yeah, I guess realistic graphics can be involved in that, but Yeah, I guess acknowledging kind of that I can appreciate the need for that sort of diversity of it still.
Okay.
Do you like the low poly design in it though? I mean,
Yes.
like, so
I
you
do.
prefer that to like if it was a similar style but more smooth graphics?
Possibly. Cartoony and low poly are two of my favorite art styles because they age well. There's a reason why, like, World of Warcraft looks so good in comparison to EverQuest 2, even though both games came out at about the same year. And admittedly, like, one had a much higher budget to keep going and keep furthering the graphics. But EverQuest was very much pushing for this, like, full realism. And it felt like the game suffered terribly from that.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't even know what EverQuest looks like.
Yeah, and can't blame you. It wasn't really our thing.
Was it yours? I mean, I didn't know you played it.
I didn't, but I knew friends that did.
Okay.